Hello, it's me, Brianna. Have you ever been in the right place at the right time? Sometimes God leads us to certain places because He wants to use us. In today's Bible story, Esther was in the right place at the right time, and God used her to do something extraordinary. Check this out.
Ahasuerus was the king of Persia. Years earlier, when Cyrus was king, he sent some of God's people back to Judah to rebuild the temple. Some of God's people went to Judah, but some stayed in Persia. God's people were called Jews because they were from Judah. The king of Persia chose Esther to be queen. Esther was very beautiful. She was a Jew and had been raised by her cousin Mordecai. Esther didn't tell the king that she was a Jew. One day, Mordecai heard that Haman, an important leader who worked for the king, was planning to kill all the Jews. Haman didn't like the Jews. Mordecai was a Jew. He didn't want all the people he loved to be killed. Mordecai and all the Jews cried. Esther sent a messenger to ask Mordecai why all the Jews were upset. Mordecai told Esther about Haman's evil plan. "You have to do something," Mordecai said. "Ask the king to stop Haman. Ask him to save the Jewish people." Esther sent a message to Mordecai. "No one can approach the king unless the king calls for that person first. The punishment is death. Unless the king holds out his scepter, then you may live. If you don't stop Haman, he will kill you too. Maybe this is why you are queen. Maybe God puts you in the palace to save your people." Esther asked Mordecai and the Jewish people to fast. They would not eat or drink for 3 days. They would pray to God for help. After 3 days, Esther went to the king. The king was sitting on the throne. He saw Esther and held out his golden scepter. "What do you want to ask me?" the king asked. "I'll give you anything, up to half of my kingdom." Esther said, "Would you and Haman come to a feast today?" So Haman and the king went to Esther's feast. After they ate, the king said, "What do you want, Queen Esther? I'll give you anything, up to half of my kingdom." "Please come to my feast tomorrow, you and Haman," Esther said. The king agreed. The next day, Haman and the king went to Esther's feast. After they ate, the king said, "What do you want, Queen Esther? I'll give you anything, up to half of my kingdom." Esther spoke up. "There was a plan to kill me and my people." The king replied, "Who is responsible for this plan?" "This evil enemy, Haman," Esther said. The king was angry. He ordered Haman to be hanged on the gallows Haman had built to kill Mordecai. Then the king made a law to keep the Jewish people safe from their enemies. God was in control over Haman's evil plan to destroy the Jews. Like Haman, Satan wants to destroy believers. He thought he had won when Jesus died on the cross, but God raised Jesus from the dead and defeated Satan once and for all.
Esther was a Jew, one of God's people from Judah. She became the queen of Persia. When Haman planned to kill all the Jews, Esther asked the king to help her people. Esther and all the Jewish people were saved.